Look, it's a hungry, hungry hippo. That brings back childhood memories, doesn't it? Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and welcome to my weekly vlog number 179 for Monday, August the 3rd, 2020. And it's also the day 145 of COVID isolation. So, yeah, what am I talking about today? Mental fart there for just a minute. Anyways, today is actually a long weekend here in Ontario and some other parts of Canada. I don't think it's nationwide. This is called, I think we call it the civic holiday. But I think the technical name for it is Lord Simcoe Day, I think. Not really sure who Lord Simcoe was. Somebody. He was a lord, probably back in the 1700s, early 1800s, something like that. Anyways, it's a long weekend. Of course, right now, given whatever your situation is during all of this isolation, every weekend's a long weekend, right? And when you're retired, regardless of the COVID thing, every weekend's a long weekend. So they just run into each other. Okay, so what am I doing right now? Well, I'm working on my Halloween embroidery blocks. Stay tuned. There's more to talk about my embroidery machine. Yeah. But right now, I'm just going to show you this. I have shown you the individual blocks I'm working on. And I have enough of the blocks sewn out that I could put together the first row. And this is what the first row looks like. I'm pretty impressed, I have to say. I mean, each one of these blocks takes about 2 hours to stitch out. But I think the overall effect is going to be really cool when it's done. Now, this is the first row. There are 3 more rows to go. Each one is a different block. And you see the sashing below where the little ghosts are? There's different sashings as well between each rows. So yeah, this is going to take a while. And hopefully I can get it done for this Halloween, but we'll see. The other thing I've been working on, I've just started it actually, is this. I think I showed you the pattern for this, the strip tube Tannenbaum. It's a Christmas quilt with this Christmas tree. This is by a company called, wow, my lips rent it today, Cozy Quilt Designs. And I have done their patterns before, and generally speaking, I have found most of their patterns to be very clearly written. Not this one, okay? You're using strips of fabric to create this, and you cut them in various ways to make the blocks. But there's several blocks that are called background. Now, I get the background, this white that goes around the tree, you see? That's background. And part of that's incorporated in with the pieces that make the little edges of the tree. Okay, I get that. This up here, they're calling background as well. They have a diagram. They show you, but in black and white, the different blocks. So I haven't yet figured out, according to their cutting instructions, what I'm supposed to cut out, how much of it to get this effect up here. And I do want that effect because it frames it very nicely. I will figure it out. Later today, that's my plan. I've already started the cutting. I've started putting some of the strips together that make the tree in the center. I just have to figure out which blocks they're talking about, so I pick the right colors for these up here. Now, I'm not using exactly the same color scheme. I never do with this pattern, but I still want something that's going to blend in up here as well. I don't want it all white in the background. I mean, that'd be the easiest way to do it, but I don't want to do that. So I got to figure that out yet. So I was kind of disappointed in the way they put the instructions together for this one, because like I said, I've done many of their quilts before and always have found their instructions very clear. And that's kind of more of a rarity than the rule when it comes to pattern writing, because wow, you can find a lot of variations in how accurately or how clearly the instructions have been written in quilt patterns. Okay, so that, and okay, I've started doing some English paper piecing. English paper piecing is basically hand sewing, and you've probably seen little hexagons and things that people are working on. They're quite popular because they're very portable. If you're sitting in a doctor's office, waiting or whatever, you can pull this out of your purse or your bag or whatever. I don't carry a purse, and start working on them. It's a minimal amount of equipment. You just need a pair of scissors, little snips, some thread and a needle, and these things cut out. Now, when I say these things cut out, you cut out a template. I'm using construction scrapbook paper, heavy paper. And then you cut out fabric that's at least 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch larger than the template. This is the template. And you fold it over. And some people do hand basting, which is kind of an extra step when it comes to sewing. And since when I do hand sewing, it's usually a bloodletting party for me. I do the other more modern method, I guess, if you want to call that, and use a glue stick, a water-soluble glue stick. Basically, those things are a dime a dozen because people buy them for kids to use. And you just put little dabs of glue all the way around, fold the fabric over, and then it holds it long enough so you can start stitching them together. And so here's my start. Now, am I going to do the whole thing like this? I don't think so. I think I'm going to do bits and pieces, and then I'm going to applique them on to a background and then quilt them. Now you do I haven't taken them all out of this one yet, but you see the back here, there isn't any template in these ones, but there are here. These are templates. They just pull out. You just pull them out. You don't sew through them. Well, you might on an occasion by accident, but you don't sew through them, and then you just pull them out. And the glue washes out, so you don't have to worry about that. And these seem to release from the glue pretty easy as well. Now, because I started getting into this, I'm kind of enjoying doing it. I can sit on the patio, especially when my machines are giving me trouble. I'm coming to that. It's something a little different. There's nothing that breaks down. You are the machine. Away you go. I have found that since I've been doing this, it's a little tedious. But after a while, it becomes mindless. You can just rattle through them. I'm getting better at my hand sewing. So, practice does make perfect, so they say. So, last week, we went out for a little drive. We went to an art park, and I'll talk about that in a bit. And while we were out, there goes my clock, I picked up, and where did I put it? Well, it's in the other room. I didn't bring it out with me, but that's okay. It's a die, basically, and it's supposed to work with, well, it works with the AccuQuilt cutting system, which is by Sizzix. And those of you that are crafters, you know all about die cutting machines, the Big Shot, and all Spellbinders, the Vagabond, all those ones. There's many of them on the market. I happened to go into a quilt store the other day, last week, and they had some of the AccuQuilt dies. Now, I had heard and seen that the AccuQuilt dies will work in a Big Shot die cutting machine, and I have a Big Shot die cutting machine. So I bought the die, and what the die is it cuts out your templates and it'll cut out your fabric that goes along with them. So it's a lot faster than having to do both of those things by hand. I did try to set it up on my Cricut to do this, and my Cricut maker, it's supposed to cut. The rotary cutter is supposed to cut these things. Yeah, the rotary cutter isn't working right on my machine. I don't know what the problem is. I've got a note out to Cricut about that. Anyways, I don't even want to get into it because it's a long story. If I ever hear from Cricut, I'll let you know what they tell me. But that's not my point at the moment. This die. So I get the die home, and when you know it, it won't fit in my Big Shot. It is about a hair, just a hair, too wide. So I thought, oh, great. And they're not cheap. It was $70 Canadian to buy that die. So I have another die cutting machine though, a Spellbinder one. I won this a year or so ago at a retreat I went to. To be honest, I have not really used it that much, but I thought, well, let's try it. Yep, it works. For some reason, the Spellbinders one is just that little hair wider, and the die will go through. Now I have to shim up the die, but that's okay. You have to do that with a lot of dies, and it works brilliantly. you can get a whole bunch of these little doodads in minutes. Because you can cut through more than one layer of fabric at a time. I think it says it'll cut up to about 8 layers of fabric and 6 layers of scrapbook paper. So there you go. You make a pile of those and you sit down and you relax and sew. So what I thinking is I'll do this every time the machines give me a trouble. It relaxes your mind. Plus, I said, it's good practice. If you're like me and a really lousy hand sewer, I'm finding that the more I do this, the better I'm getting with it. A little bit more confident. Now, I did order, and part of it's supposed to come today. I watched some YouTube videos that said you should use a number 15 milliner needle. Now, they're a very thin, longish needle for this kind of work. Do you think I could buy any in a store? No. Even trying to order them online is not easy. I found one Canadian outlet that had them, a quilt store out west. They were $8.99 for a tube of these needles. I don't know how many needles were in the tube, but 4 or 5 probably. $8.99. Well, that's a good price. Yeah, but shipping was $16. So yeah. So I was on Amazon and I found a package of milliner needles, but they don't say what sizes they are, but it's supposed to be sort of a variety pack. So it was $7.99 or something, so I ordered it. And it's coming at some point in time. In fact, this is one thing about Amazon, just a little aside. I have Prime, and it said, usually too, I try to order things that are marked as Prime because you usually get them within 2 days. It says 2-day delivery on it. Yeah, not always. Because I ordered needles and I ordered this special thread that people use called Bottom Line for doing this kind of paper piecing. And I'm getting the thread today, but the needles aren't coming until the 11th of August. This is the 3rd of August. I ordered them on Friday. Suddenly it's no longer 2-day shipping, yet it's marked as Prime, and I do pay for Prime. And I've noticed this a lot with Amazon lately. You order it, it says, and then suddenly they change the date. After you've paid for it, after the order's gone through, they change the date. What's that all about? Amazon. So, yeah, that's something you get pissed off about, and I am pissed off about it because I'm paying Prime. So anyways, that's just a little aside about my Amazon problems. Everybody's a problem these days, it seems. Is it me? I don't think so. And they all use the same excuse. COVID, 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 COVID. Well, when COVID's over, what's the next excuse? Because they will find one. Okay, so those are the latest projects. And since I've been doing this, I have wanted to venture into the world of hand embroidery. Not cross stitch. There seems to be a lot of cross stitch you can get. My sister does cross stitch. She does very complicated and very beautiful cross stitch, and she's done them for years and she loves it. I tried it once many years ago, hated it, do not like it, don't have the patience. I might be the same way with hand embroidery. So I went looking for like a starter kit, and I finally found a starter kit that had good reviews on Amazon. Came with hoops and threads and needles and this and that. I think it was something like $33 Canadian. It was on Prime, and it is supposed to come today. And they haven't changed the date on that one yet. So it's supposed to be on its way. It's been shipped. I checked the notifications in Amazon about it. But I also ordered a book of kind of floral patterns, and they're supposedly iron-on, and you take your cloth that you're going to embroider in and you iron this thing on. Now, I'm hoping that in this kit or in this book, it's going to show me how to do it. Because I've never done hand embroidery before. And I know there's different knots and things like that. So I'm hoping. They didn't really say if they came with instructions or not, so I don't know. But I'm not that concerned about it because I can go on YouTube, I can go onto the internet, and I'm sure I can find lots of things out there that'll tell me exactly how to do various knots. We'll see. This may be a waste of money. I think I spent between the book with the patterns in it, and the starter kit, I think it's just under 50 bucks Canadian. It might be one of those things that's going to sit on a shelf forever and never get used. I don't know, but I'm going to give it a try. I'm always trying to explore new things in this world of textile art. That's what I'm going to call it, textile art. Okay, so that's what I've been working on, and if you need a laugh, and who doesn't need a laugh? And if you're not afraid of something being just a little naughty, a little bit sexual in its tones, actually a whole lot in this one's case, then you're going to love Jimmy Carr. He's a British comedian. He's got all kinds of things on the internet. They are hilarious. And, well, watch this. This week's YouTube channel is one full of humor. This is a YouTube channel by a comedian that comes from Britain called Jimmy Carr, and he's really quite popular in Britain and around the world. He does several different shows on their television station, and he travels around and does stand-up comedy. He's quite funny, but I have to warn you, he's very, very naughty. Naughty to the point where his kind of humor is not PG-13. So beware of that. If you're offended by a lot of sexual talk, a lot of sexual humor, then this may not be the YouTube channel for you. But if you're looking for a hysterical laugh, check out Jimmy Carr. So you will find the links to Jimmy Carr in my show notes below. You'll also find the links to Stephen and Walter Live, and you will find the link to the book of the week. But one of the most important links, and this is an announcement, I made this announcement yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live. I made this announcement on Saturday on my latest edition of The Idiot Quilter, and now I'm making it here. I'm going to do an experiment, a Zoom experiment. This Wednesday coming, August the 5th, at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, my time zone, I'm going to go live on Zoom and do a craft, what I call craft and chat. Okay? Originally I was going to call it sew and chat, but I thought I should open it up to crafters of all types, not just sewers, but people who do art journaling, painting, fabric art, art journaling, scrapbooking, card making, you name it, whatever you do. And we'll get together and have this live session. Now, I'm not sure how long the session's going to last. It's really going to depend on how many people are there and how things are going. It's very impromptu. I am going to sit down today and kind of organize my thoughts around this, to keep the conversation going. It's an opportunity, though, for people to share what their current projects are or projects they have done in the past that they're really proud of and like to show off. It's a time for sharing ideas about everything, about techniques, about products, whatever. It's just an open forum for crafters to share with other crafters. Now, I have put the Zoom link in the show notes below. It's right there for you. All you need to do is a few minutes before 1 o'clock, click on that, and away we'll go. Well, almost away you'll go. Because I'm the host of it, I have set up what's called a waiting room, which means that when you first click on, it's going to take me a few seconds to admit you into the group. So be patient with that, okay? Because if suddenly everybody comes on at the same time, it'll take me a little bit, not very long. I just click, basically, bang, 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 bang. But I'm also using that as a screening device. I don't think we're going to get any yahoos on there because, one, I'm a very, very small channel. Normally, you wouldn't put your link out there for the world, but I am doing that by putting it in the show notes as opposed to sending individual invitations to it via email because I don't have everybody's email, for one thing. And so I'm putting it there. But with the waiting room, I decide who gets in and who doesn't. Now, if I see something that looks very suspicious or strange, and like I said, I don't think I will, I won't admit that person, or I will privately chat with them to see if they're legit. In the meantime, when we are in the chat, if we get some troll or yahoo in there that's trying nasty things, and again, I think we're pretty safe with that, I can block them. So I'm not worried about that. Privacy issues, not a big thing. Now, the one thing I am going to ask everybody when we get going, if it's all right that I record the session and post it on my channel. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, I've already had people tell me that because of work or the time zone problem or whatever, they won't be able to join, but they would love to see how it worked out. So they would like me to, post the recording. And I'm just going to make sure everybody's okay with that right at the beginning when we start with it. Because if they're not, then essentially then they can watch, but turn off their microphone and turn off their camera, because I am going to post it. Okay, so if you're somebody who's really worried about that kind of a thing, then you might want to join us, but not turn on your microphone and not turn on your camera. Okay, I hope you don't, it doesn't bother you. I mean, I'm not going to post anything. I'm not going to put anything up that is meant to, do harm to anybody else. I'm not doing that. That's, and everybody should feel like they're in a very safe environment. It is a safe environment, okay? Most of the people, I'm sure, that are going to join in are people who watch my vlogs, come on Stephen and Walter Live on a regular basis. But wouldn't it be nice to actually see people's faces? I think it's going to add a new personal touch to this kind of thing. And Zoom is a great platform for this, because I think a lot of people have used Zoom now, because it's been, the thing. The Zooming is the thing these days. So I hope you can join us if you're available. And as I said, it's an experiment. We'll see how it goes. And if it works out well, then maybe I'll do another one down the road. Maybe it'll become something and I'll be a little bit more regular. I don't know. But anyways, the link for it is in the show notes. It's right under. It's called Craft and Chat with Stephen. And the link is there. And all you have to do is, I would suggest you just copy the link into like a word processor or something like that, so you have it wherever you keep notes and things on your computer. And then you can just cut and paste it from that into your URL address bar in your browser, and away you go. You don't need any special software for this. You just need to have a camera. Most computers have a camera these days, and a microphone. And most computers, the newer ones, have a microphone built right in them. So really, there's very little you need to do with it. So I hope we'll see you on Wednesday. That's this Wednesday, August the 5th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so that was the plug for that. So let's takes me to what's pissing me off this week. Okay, it's about my Janome 15,000. You know the going story about it. And I'm not going to go into the details, but basically it's been out for repair for about 3 weeks or so. It went to Janome's headquarters in Oakville, Ontario, Canada. It came back. I used it. It did the same thing again. It worked for an hour. Okay, and then bang, tore its little guts right out and everything, and right back to square one again with the problem. So it's going into the shop on Tuesday, tomorrow. Again, I'm getting the stores one back to use. Thank you, Shirley. Shirley's wonderful. The owner of Ultimate Sewing. As I've said before, this is a plug for her store. I am not paid for this. I honestly and truly believe what I say. And she is second to none in service. She's had it with Janome. So the plan now is it's probably going to be sent off to the Janome headquarters in the United States. This is the last time it's going to be sent out. If it comes back and it is not working, or it does its same thing again after a couple of hours, I'm done with it. I'm completely done with it. I know other people who are having similar problems, and after I'm finished the vlog today, I'm going to go through the comments that people have been sending me about their 15,000 Janome Horizon, and I'm going to compile them into one list and I'm going to copy those to Shirley, and with the suggestion that she might want to send these on to Janome, to let Janome know that this is not a one-time thing with one stupid user, that there are other people having problems as well. And this brings me to what's pissing me off this week. And what's pissing me off is companies and how they deal with customer complaints. You know, Janome has not, as far as I can find, has not been direct and upfront about this machine. There is obviously a flaw in these machines. And they're expensive. They're $14,000 retail. Okay? Big money. Big money. I have been on Janome's site in both Canada and the United States, and they do have a forum on there, and there are people who are complaining about these machines. And as far as I can see, Janome has not dealt with it at all. They have not even acknowledged what anything to do with those machines according to what people have written. They have not even sent them a courtesy message saying, oh, thank you so much for letting us know about the problem. We're looking into it. No, nothing. Radio silence. And Janome's not the only company that does things like that. I mentioned earlier about the problem I'm having with my Cricut Maker. I love my Cricut Maker. I use it a lot, but I don't use it that often for cutting fabric. The reason is it sounded like a good idea at the time. But if you're an occasional applique or something like that, or sewer, yeah, it would be okay for that. But when you're a quilt maker, there are other ways to cut out your appliques. There's other techniques you can use that are faster than slapping your fabric onto a cutting mat, which is limited in its size, and cutting things out with it. But nevertheless, it should work. Mine doesn't. Now, I've had that machine since they came out with the Cricut Maker, and how many years has that been now? 3, 4? Lost track of time. One of the reasons I bought the machine was because it had that feature, because that sounded pretty cool. Because I had a Brother Scan and Cut, another company that doesn't help you out, Brother. And it's supposed to cut fabric, and for some reason I can't get it to cut fabric decently. Now, having said that, there are people on YouTube who get it to work. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And this is the thing, maybe it's just me and machines. I mean, I attract the lemons or whatever, but I am very careful when I use these machines. I read the instructions, I actually do. Sometimes I joke about the fact that instructions I just throw to the side and start playing with something. It's on a need-to-know basis. And yeah, I have done that. But usually I go to the instructions and go through them step by step, especially when I'm trouble shooting, you know, when I'm trying to figure out what's going on wrong, what I'm doing wrong. And yeah, so back to the Cricut. So I tried everything to get it to cut. What it's basically doing is it's got too much pressure on it and it's digging up my mat, and it's just ripping the fabric right off of the mat at the same time. Now, before you say it, those of you that are Cricut users, you're going to say, but your tension's too high. You need to adjust that. Go into your settings. I know all about that. I wasn't born yesterday. This is my third Cricut machine, okay? My third one. So I do know what I'm doing with it. I have gone through their troubleshooting, such as it is, and their troubleshooting is very minimal on their website for Cricut. It's next to useless, really. You know, it boils down to, is your machine plugged in? Yeah, it is. I had this problem back, a year or so ago with it, and I contacted customer support with Cricut, and I was impressed. Okay, unlike Janome, I went to the chat mode on the Cricut in their service part, and I got somebody on there very quickly, and she walked me through what to do, and it worked. I had to recalibrate the machine, and I had to update the firmware. Well, the firmware was already up to date, but she told me to do it again. And it worked for one time. Now, like I said, I don't use it that often. Then I got thinking, well, is there something caught in the blade? So I took the blade out, I took the blade apart, it's very easy to do, and cleaned it all up and put it in, didn't help. And I ordered a new blade. And I ordered it on Amazon because I looked on the Cricut website and they said they were sold out and it was on back order. So I took a chance on Amazon. Yeah, 2-day delivery, and actually came in 2 days. I installed it. Nope, didn't solve the problem. I recalibrated the machine. Nope, didn't solve the problem. I did the firmware update from scratch the way the lady had shown me a year and a half ago, and nope, same problem. I tried everything. Yes, I lightened off the tension on it. I picked other fabric. I did all the stuff that they say did, nothing worked. So I went on to Cricut's support page, and they don't have the chat at the moment. It says it's unavailable due to COVID. Okay. The other thing was said you can email us, but be aware that it'll probably take 1 to 2 weeks for a response because of the volume. You know, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but you hear that so often you begin to think that's just a catchphrase, right? So I sent them a very detailed email about the problem. And I said to them, the bottom line was, I don't know what to do about it. Sending the machine back to you for repair at this point in time is not viable, given the COVID situation, given the fact I live in Canada, given the fact I'd have to send it to the States, given how much it would cost to send that machine to the States, blah, blah. The other thing is, it annoys me that I can't use the fabric cutting feature on it. But you want to know something? I already said, I'm a quilter. I don't need it. I can live without it. It does everything else brilliantly. I love it for everything else that I do with it, and that is fine. But I'm waiting to see what they will say. Now, I do have a reference number, so they have it in their system. We'll see how many weeks it takes to get back to me. But I'm telling you that story to tell you about my relationship with customer service at these places and why companies suck at this. Cricut had really good customer service. Suddenly the customer service has died. Again, they're blaming it on COVID. But they're still responding, even if it's an automated message to let me know they got my message and they'll get to it. It's better than nothing, like Janome. Nothing. Absolutely nothing from them. You can't even contact Janome as a consumer directly. You have to go through a dealer. That's their firewall that they put up. And you know, the dealers are, well, depends on your dealer. I have an excellent dealer. But not everybody has that luxury to have somebody who, after they've sold you a product, give you after sale service. You know, it's kind of like you're on your own now. Haha. And you know, warranties are not worth the paper they're written on, because warranties for these kind of machines are all like 1 year. You know, 1 year warranty on a $14,000 machine. Really? Does that build faith in your customer base? But appliances are the same way. Everything's that way these days. Nobody stands behind what they make, and nobody stands behind their customer service, and that's the annoying part. You've given them the money, you get nothing for it when you have a problem. You know, I would be much more willing to deal with a company if they were, and they had problems, if they were right up front about it. See, Janome did something suspicious. Now, I'm just saying, I have no proof of this whatsoever. I have the version 2 of the 15,000. There is a version 3. Now, the one I'm using that comes from the store is a version 3. There are some slight differences in the way that the machine has been put together that I've noticed different from my machine. But I'm thinking, when I bought my machine, they already had the version 3 out, but I got a good price on version 2. And there was an upgrade kit, which my dealer threw in with the version 2, which brought it up to the standard of a version 3. It was some sort of quilting kit. It had an extra couple of feet in it and a extra hoop or something like this. I'm not sure if it was already installed on the machine. I'm not sure if it also upgraded the computerized components that deal with the embroidery. I have no idea. But, so in a sense, I'm buying old stock. But that's okay. It should still work all right, right? But what it suggests to me is, maybe there were some problems in version 2, and so they came out with version 3, but they weren't telling anybody about the problems with version 2. you know, because then people would want the version 3 and wouldn't buy version 2, kind of a thing. Yeah, I would feel much more comfortable if they had just turned around and said, when I was having the problems with my machine, yes, we know about this problem, so sorry about it. We had a whole bunch of these machines that went off the line, and you know, we'll fix it for you, you know, that kind of thing. Sorry. No, you don't get that. You get nothing. Nothing. Radio silence. So that pisses me off. Why can't you, as a company, a big company, why can't you stand behind your products? If you can't stand behind your products, if you can't be truthful about your products, about your mistakes, everybody makes mistakes. And I mean, fine, it's new technology. You find a bug in it, fix it. That's all we're asking. Just fix it. And I would be much more willing to deal with a company that's upfront about that than one that's being sneaky and hiding all this information from the consumers. I think a company would gain more trust from the public if they were upfront about these things. I really do. But no, Genomi's not. And they're not the only company out there. I'm sure everybody's got their horror stories. And so this is my horror story right now. As I said, I have other people who have responded, have sent me comments about their horror story with Genomi 15,000. And so I'm going to compile a list of those comments and send them off to my dealer. And I'm going to suggest to her that she sends these along with my machine to let Genomi know, not that they'll probably react to it, but let Genomi know that I am not the only one, that there's other ones out there as well. And you know, in this day and age of social media, like this YouTube thing, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of stuff, companies need to be careful, because I have no problem with talking about my, well, I've already done it, my experiences with the Genomi 15,000, and I have no problem spreading that word further out in the online world as well. So there you go. So yeah, just be honest with us, companies. Don't piss us off. If there's a problem, admit to it and fix it. It's not brain surgery. Okay, I'll keep you posted. Moving on. Product reviews. Okay, I don't know if you've noticed it, but in my vlogs and in Stephen and Walter Live and the Idiot Quilter, I use a microphone. Okay? Yeah, of course I do. And this little microphone I bought for like 20 bucks on Amazon, and it's great. It works really well. And for the price, you can't go wrong. Well, I noticed when I play back my videos to check them, and I usually play them back on my Apple TV upstairs in my family room, on a bigger TV up there to get the full effect. And I've noticed that the sound has just been off a little bit. It sounds hollow or duller. And so I thought, is this just my imagination? Is it a setting on our stereo system that it goes through? Walter looked at it and he said, no, stereo is the same as it always has been. So I couldn't figure this out. So I thought, well, maybe there's something in my iPad settings that isn't right. Well, there aren't really any settings in the iPad. That's why I do this on right now. I do it on an iPad. There aren't any real settings that adjust the sound or anything. So I'm thinking, what's wrong with this? I let it go for a few more weeks, and it's just been annoying me to no end. So I decided to do an experiment. I plugged in the microphone. I recorded a little, test segment of a few seconds with the microphone plugged in, with the microphone not plugged in. There's a little switch on this microphone down here. There's a battery in this, and if you're using it on a camera, it says camera, and you put it push the button up onto that. If you're using what I'm using, it says like a smart iPhone or an iPad, because they have their own power source for their earphone jack, microphone jack. You don't need to turn on that switch, and that's what the battery does in here. It gives it power. But then I got thinking, well, maybe that battery's dead because I've never changed it. Put in a new battery, didn't make any difference. Now, there was a day, I remember, that I dropped my microphone on the floor and stood on it. Now, I didn't break it or anything, but I think I bent the little clip that you use to attach the microphone on here, onto your shirt. But I didn't think anything of it. And I got thinking, maybe I did break something in the microphone. Well, when I did my little tests, there was no difference between the sound when the microphone was plugged in and when the microphone wasn't plugged in, because the iPad's built-in microphone was picking up my voice. So I thought, okay, just to do a little further research, I went back into my catalog of past vlogs, and it was sometime in early June when the sound changed. And that, by recollection was about the time that I think I stood on the microphone. So I ordered a new one. It came. Now you can hear me in nice crisp sound. So yeah, so I'm an idiot. You know, went on for like what, 6 weeks before I figured that out. Yeah. So anyways, you should be able to hear me in a nicer way now, a clearer way, put it that way. Okay, what else? Okay, I did buy some more threads. These are embroidery threads. Isn't it ironic? I have a broken embroidery machine, but I'm still buying embroidery threads, really? I bought these. Actually, I bought 9 of these, one in each color, basic colors kind of a thing, and a black and a white. These are by Madeira. Madeira is a big name in embroidery threads. I use Floriani, and I love Floriani, but I have gotten some patterns recently, and they tell you to use Madeira, and they give you the numbers for the ones that you should use, and I just convert them to Floriani colors. But I thought, well, maybe I should try these out. So I ordered some from Monfil. You've heard me talk about them before. They actually have a commercial segment of their company called Super Punch, and they sell the Madeira. Now, these are huge cones. These are 5,000 meters, so it's going to last a long time, but a really good price, $12.99 Canadian for each one. The reason I tell you it's a good price is because I pay for 1,000 meters of Floriani through my local quilt store about $7.99 or $6.99 a spool. So to get 5,000 meters of one color in the Floriani cost me about $40, as opposed to $12.99 for 5,000 meters. So I thought I'd give this a try, and I did, and I do review these on my latest edition of the Idiot Quilter, so I won't go into that in details, but if you're looking for reasonably priced embroidery thread, and they come in more than just 8 colors, 9 colors, they come in about 100 colors or more that you can get. And they have a whole color chart on Super Punch. It's superpunch.ca. You will have to ask them to give you an ID, but that's no big deal. They send it to you by email pretty quickly, and then you can get in, and they have other things on there too. But yeah, good price, and the quality of Madeira threads seems to be very good. I'm not going to convert over to Madeira. I love my Floriani, and I've invested a lot of money in my Floriani to start with, but it's an alternative, and yeah, so I thought I'd share that with you. What else? Wide back fabric. Okay, that quilting store that I went into last week, they're mainly a long arm quilting store kind of thing. You can take your quilts in there, they will long arm them for you, but they sell wide back fabric. In fact, that's all they sell is wide back fabric. And what is wide back fabric? It is fabric that's 108 inches wide. The reason that's important is rather than having to take regular width fabric, which is about, well, 42 to 44 inches, and having to piece it together to, use on the back of a quilt that says a queen size or king size or really large twin, you can have one piece of fabric. And that's what this is, but I bought about 3 of these. Now, this is not cheap stuff. I pay about $30 a meter at Ultimate Sewing, which is a really good price. The prices in this store were not the same. It depended on which fabric you bought. This fabric, actually, I was surprised. I've had this fabric before. It's called Shimmer. I really like it. I bought 3 meters of this, and then that's basically what you need for the quilts I make in wide back. So, you know, that's $90 at $30 a meter. But this one was $24.99 a meter, which I was surprised at. But I bought 3 different fabrics, 3 meters of each. That one was the cheapest one. I bought another one that was $30 a meter, and then another one that was $34.99 a meter. So it all kind of, you know, averaged out to $30 a meter. One of the advantages of that particular store was, which I didn't know until I was checking out, was if you buy 3 meters or more, she gives you 20% off, which is pretty nice. Now, I do get a discount as well at Ultimate Sewing, because when you buy a sewing machine there, she gives you a discount as well on any other things you may buy in the store, on most things, including fabric. But they have a really large selection, and I was in that area, so I thought I would get some. So I did. I just have to start using it, which means finishing the UFOs. Okay, so that's all I've bought new lately, and that takes us to the book of the week. And since I've been doing a lot of books on making books, this is another one, mini books. I don't know when I bought this, and I have no idea what I paid for it. Yes, I do. It's listed here on the back as $16.95 Canadian, $12.95 US. It's a nice little book. It shows you, actually, if you want to make quick gifts for people, okay, with the personal touch, this shows you how to really make a lot of different little mini books in different formats. They're basically little scrapbooks, in a sense, brag books, whatever you want to call them. But it's got clear instructions, tells you what you need, gives you a picture of it, takes you through the process. A really good little resource book, great for inspiring ideas and things like that for you. So, can you get this on Amazon? Yes, you can. On Amazon.ca, this book, though, and this is going to rot your socks. I said I paid $16.95 Canadian for it when I bought it originally. It's listed on Amazon for, get this, $95.18 plus $6.48 shipping. Now, they do have it in their used book section, starting at $54.94, which is still 3-4 times more than I paid for it. So this might be one of those books, if you're interested in it and you don't want to spend that kind of money, maybe go looking for it at a garage sale or a used bookstore or something like that. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm teasing you. Great book, but no one's going to spend $100 for it. I wouldn't spend $100 for it. It's not that good. Okay. Sorry about that. Get you all excited and then just yank the plug out, right? Okay. So, what are the? That takes us to works in progress, and this is part 4 of the Clockwork Garden journal, and I'm doing some tags and envelopes with it right now. So, watch this. Okay, so I've added a few elements to the inside of this journal, and what I did was I cut out, using my Cricut, Mike Deacon's digital downloads. Actually, these are Ian's, as you know, and I created this pocket, one at the front and one on the back cover, and in that I've slipped in one of these cards in each one of the pockets, and on the back of it I just doubled it over and it becomes a journaling card or whatever. In fact, there's enough room here to stick in a few extra flat things, and as I said, I did the same on the back cover. Now on the signatures, what I added, and you can see them all popping up here, I had these fancy paper clips that I think I picked up at Walmart several years ago for next to nothing, and I printed out, oops, I'm caught in my thing here, okay, I printed out and used the Cricut again to cut out these tags, which they have as double-sided. You fold them over and you have a place to write things. On all of these elements I've inked the edges to make it stand out, and I just added a coordinating piece of ribbon to each one of these, and I use the same color on them all. And you know how I like things to hang outside of my journals when I make them. So on these you have the ribbon hanging out and you have the paper clips, and the paper clips I staggered them.
across 4 pages, or four sections. There's one in each of the signatures, and so they'll also serve. They could serve as bookmarks too, since they're portable. You just take them out and clip them onto another page. Now, on the very last page and the very first page of each signature, I added these corner elements, and I added these little cards as well. Now, when I cut these out, I cut them out originally on some cardstock, but it wasn't that thick. So I decided to make these a little bit thicker by just adding another piece of scrapbook cardstock to the back of them. And I inked the edges. So this is an additional place where someone could put some notes. And as I said, I put one on the back page and on the front page of each signature. So they go through each one. And I backed each one as well. So those are the elements that I've added to this booklet right now. And I'm going to add a few more things to this as well. But I think on the next segment, I'm going to work on the cover.
And that takes us to events in the past week. And update on my mother, she's fine. I think I talked about this on Stephen and Walter Live yesterday, so I don't want to reiterate it, but her nursing home has been posting pictures of the residents on their Facebook page, which is nice because, you know, we can't really visit them at the moment. We are going to be visiting my mother, my sister and I, for her birthday on the 14th of August. But that's an outdoor visit. I've already had to set it up. There's all kinds of restrictions involved and that kind of thing. And I think I've discussed that with you before. But they post these pictures. Now, my mother does not like having her picture taken, and there's good reason for that. This picture they took of my mother is not flattering. In fact, if I didn't know that was my mother, I wouldn't know that was my mother. She got her hair done. My mother loves to have a perm. The woman there who does the hairdressing, when she does a perm, she does a really tight perm. My mother's hair is thinning, and well, quite frankly, have you ever seen those pictures of Elizabeth I from 1600s? And, you know, they show her forehead starting way up about here. Okay? That's my mom. Yeah. And the reason it kind of disturbs me a little bit. Yeah, of course my mother's aging. She's going to be 80. But my mother always took a great deal of pride in her hair and in her appearance. People would always say, oh, your mother dresses so nicely. Her hair is always so beautifully done. My mother used to go to the hairdresser once a week. She would get her hair set. It was always very fashionable. She always had her hair relatively short. Yeah, she'd have a perm. And my mother was really good with, you know, doing things between hairdresser appointments with her hair. It was always immaculate. Always. Now, not. My mother can't do her own hair anymore. She doesn't have the strength in her arms, you know, to do all that kind of thing. So I guess in the nursing home they figure, like my mother always wants to have a perm, and I guess they probably figure, well, it's easier for them, you know, as the staff, because they don't have a lot of time to spend with each resident on personal grooming. They do the best job they possibly can. So, yeah, plus my mother doesn't smile much in pictures, and she's sitting in front of one of her favorite dishes that they have there. I think they have it every Friday. It looks like it's fish and chips. Well, the reason I say it looks like fish and chips is because they've cut it all up into small little pieces for her to manage. There's somebody standing off to the side. You see their hand, they're putting gravy on her French fries. My mother likes gravy on her French fries. Don't we all? That kind of thing. But my mother does not look like a happy camper in there. In fact, she'd scare the bejesus out of you. I'm telling you, put a pointy hat on that woman in that picture and you've got Halloween. Sorry to say that about my mother, but it's true. I sent a text message after I saw that off to my sister and said, did you see this picture of Mom? And my sister wrote back, she says, yeah. And she said, her husband, my brother-in-law, saw the picture too, and he was told by my sister, do not send a copy of that to your parents. No, because it does not look good. Now, I am not suggesting that there's anything wrong with how she's being treated at the nursing home that this picture might reveal. It's not. It's just my mother, okay? But yeah, Walter said I should send a picture out to my brother in BC who hasn't seen my mother in 3 years, something like that. And last time he saw her, she was in a hospital bed when we were doing the, trying to get her into a nursing home kind of a thing. That would shake him up. Might serve him right too that I send it to him, but I'm not doing that. Anyways, I just found it disturbing. That's all. Not much you can do about it, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm not sharing it with you. No. Told you already about the 15,000. That's a broken record. Okay, we did something interesting this past week. Needed to get out. Walter's nephew had gone to a art park out in the sticks, about 45 minutes away from us. And it's called Zim Art. And basically there's a lady who goes every year to Zimbabwe and she buys Zimbabwean sculpture. And she has a field out in the country and she puts them on display. Now, it sounds kind of rustic, and it is, but it's kind of a beautiful setting too. She also has every year artist in residence that comes from Zimbabwe who you can pay for classes and they will teach you how to do sculpture in the Zimbabwean way. The art is fantastic and you can buy it. Now, it's not cheap, it's sculpture. I think the cheapest piece I saw there was about $400, and it went up to $14,000, $15,000, that kind of thing. But if I had the money, I'd love a piece of that on my front lawn. I can tell you that. I did buy a piece. Well, it's free. This thing is free, this park. And it's out in a field. It's out in a field. There's a barn. That's where they do the sculptures and stuff like that. And it's all like the grass is nicely cut and whatnot. Actually, it was a really nice day. It was really nice to walk around and look at the statues or the sculpture in that setting. But it's free. But you could buy a paperweight, and they were $20, and that money went to some kind of support for the artists and things like that. So I did. I bought myself a hippo. All I want for Christmas is a hippopotamus, or something like that. But yeah, and this is made out of native rock, Zimbabwean. And I just really felt that I should give something because, I wasn't buying anything else because I couldn't afford anything else. I would have dearly loved to buy. There were some pieces there I would have loved to have owned. But anyways, I got myself a little hippo. So I put together a video of this. Now the video runs about 16 minutes. And that's what I'm going to turn to now. And if that's just too long for you or you get the gist of it, just fast forward through it if you want. But it was really a nice setting. So we decided to take a little day trip to a place about an hour away from us called Zim Art's Rice Lake Gallery. And it was founded in 2000, and according to its website, it says that it represents over 50 Zimbabwean stone sculptors. Their work is on display in a beautiful natural oasis overlooking Rice Lake in the Northumberland Hills. The gallery offers the most comprehensive collection of hand-carved Zimbabwean stone sculpture in Canada. Sizes range from tabletop to monumental. So this was out kind of in the sticks, as you can see, and you just saw there were some people there taking a class and working on some sculpture of their own. I am no sculptor, so I wouldn't be interested in taking that class. And then as we moved into the beginning of the display, they had some different sign-up sheets for taking future classes, and they had these paperweights, which for $20 you could buy one of them, and I did. Now this park is absolutely free, so this is one way to support the work that they do here. So you can see they had a lot of interesting books as well, some CDs. I'm not sure what was on the CDs, but it's all very, very interesting. And, it's something a little different to go and visit. So while we were there, a lady came out, and she is the owner and the curator of this collection, and she talked to us about this park that she has created.
win a sculpture.
Hello, have you been before?
Nope.
Hey, you know what you've come to, or did you just
No, we read it online, yeah.
follow a red brick road? Sometimes people don't know what they've come to.
Yeah.
So everything here was created in Zimbabwe, and I travel there and select the work and bring it here to Canada. The workshop right now is Canadians are learning to sculpt using both the same tools and the same stone as the artists in Zimbabwe, and also the same philosophical approach, which is basically that the sculpture is in the stone and they're there to kind of release it. So the work is all down through here. There's a path that takes you down to the bottom, all around the house, and everything will tell you the title of the sculpture, the name of the artist, the kind of stone. Starting right behind you, there are some of these plaques in this space. Give you some of the background history. I think one of the most interesting things that people often don't realize is that Zimbabwe is the only country on the African continent where they have a stone sculpting tradition. Largely it's wood, but because they have this amazing stone and all the color you're seeing in the stone, that's all compressed mineral. This is very ancient volcanic ultramafic rock. So, and all created with the same tools that the students are using in the workshop there. So just hammers and chisels and files and sand
Okay, that's great.
That's great. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
So,
That's very
enjoy.
interesting.
Yeah. So there's some very interesting looking pieces, though. Oh, you can purchase these. 500, 450, 400. What's the cheapest one? 400 is the cheap one. There it is right there. 400 for that head. Actually, that one kind of catches my eye.
Yeah.
But I'm not spending money. I'm not buying sculpture today. It's kind of interesting that it's outdoors and
Yeah.
here in the middle of nowhere, actually. So here's another piece. Oh, they're all marked for sale, so $67.50 for that piece.
How much?
$67.50, as in $6,750. There, wouldn't that look nice on our front lawn? Why, we could compete with the place down the street that has all
Yeah.
the really tacky statues. We could have something nicer. These ones look much nicer. Perfect day for coming out here. It's not too hot, it's not too cold, it isn't raining. It's a lovely setting. Now, normally they'll let you touch the sculptures here, but given the fact that we're in the COVID crisis right now, they've asked that you don't touch anything, of course. Some really nice pieces.
There's a mermaid kissing herself.
Okay, well, if you can, you can.
Springstone.
14,000. Well, that one's cheap at half the price.
Now, as I mentioned before, when we first came in, we saw these people all out here taking a class, and they're all, as the curator said, they're all just Canadians who are interested in this kind of sculpture, and they're learning from the artist in residence. So they have a Zimbabwe artist here on site, and I guess you are taught how to do this kind of sculpture and use some of the rock that comes from Zimbabwe. So that was our trip out here to this art park, Zim Art, to see Zimbabwe sculptures. What you think?
Very nice, actually.
It's very nice setting.
Nice setting, and really nice to be on a nice day like today.
So I bought a little paperweight. I'll show that to you on live on the vlog. But it's kind of worth the drive out here to take a look at this stuff. Okay, with that video in today's vlog, this is a long vlog, so I hope you're still with me. Okay, real quick before I sign off here, what have we got coming up? Well, again, there's the craft and chat, and the link for that's below. That's this Wednesday, August the 5th, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you can join me for that, and we'll see what happens. And we're going to have some visitors for the first time since COVID started. And a couple of friends of ours from Toronto are coming out for the weekend, this coming weekend. I've talked about these friends before. We see them about twice a year. We have not seen them now for a year. It was about a year ago this month, the last time we saw them. And also, I was asked if they could commission me to do a quilt for them, for their couch, a lap size quilt. And I said, no, you can't commission me. You're my friends. I will make you one. So I have that quilt, and I have shown that some time ago, and finally I'm going to give it to them when they come out this weekend. They have been doing everything. You know, we're allowed to have so many people now. I'm a little nervous about it, but with them, I know that they've been doing the right things as well, because they're very concerned about it. They're a little older than Walter and I. So, you know, we're all in that vulnerable group. So we've all been taking the precautions and doing everything like that. So everything should be fine. It's just going to be so nice to see people again and socialize. So they'll come here for the weekend. We'll have dinner, you know, kind of a thing, and they'll stay overnight, and that's going to be great. So that's the week. And I hope you have a good week, and I hope to see you on Wednesday. And if I don't see you Wednesday, I'll see you for Stephen and Walter Live next Sunday or on my next vlog. Have a good one. Stay healthy. Bye-bye.